What's going on, people? Welcome back to another episode of the Premier League SPUR-SPECTIVE, which is the review show from Predict the Prem, where me and my brother go head-to-head in predicting Premier League outcomes. We have scores as well, which at the moment is 93 to myself, 74 to Simeon. And the way the scoring works is 5 points for a completely correct scoreline, 1 point for a correct result, and the star man as well. Once you pick that man, you cannot pick them for the remainder of the season. It's 5 points for a goal, 3 points for an assist. And if you're new around here, why not help us out and scroll down and smash that subscriber button, and let's get straight into it. And the first game in midweek was Brighton against Nottingham Forest, which finished 0-0 surprisingly enough. Both of us going for Brighton win. Simeon went 3-1, I went 3-0, and Brighton should have won this game, man. They really should have won this game. I mean, they were knocking on the door, knocking for the whole game. No one seemed to answer. I mean, the finishing on show from Brighton in this game was nothing short of disgraceful, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think that goes to show what Graham Potter was dealing with the forward line, because De Zerbi he's having a very similar problem. Lots of chances created, but no goals. And Trossard hit the crossbar. I think that was the closest they came. Welbeck was threatening. I think Forest barely had a touch in Brighton's penalty areas. I think they had nearly 20 shots on goal. I think it was like six or seven on target as well. It was pretty much all Brighton, but they just couldn't blow the door down. And Forest will be very, very fortunate that they got a point out of this, because they did not deserve one. But they'll take this point and be encouraged by it, and maybe that's something to build on. But if you take the performance as it was, they were very lucky to get a draw.
Absolutely. And it seems as though with Brighton, like, if Trossard doesn't score, no one's going to score.
Yeah, and he doesn't exactly score loads, does he?
Exactly.
I mean, he scored a few, but he's not going to get you 15 goals, is he? So they definitely need some, and that's what De Zerbi said. He said, when I was at Sassuolo, we had loads of attacking players who were very comfortable in front of goal and could get loads of goals. And now at Brighton, they've got good attacking players, but they're not so comfortable in front of goal, and that's a problem he's going to have to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. But 0 points for us on that one. Let's move on to Crystal Palace against Wolves, which finished 2-1 to Palace on the day. Both of us going for 1-0 to Palace, but Wolves actually took the lead in this game with Adama Traore. But Palace did hit back in the second half with Eze and Zaha, last week's star men for both of us. But I think Palace probably deserved this win, but it was kind of level playing field for the majority of the game.
Yeah, Adama Traore's first goal in, I think, 9 months or something like that.
Yeah, I think he scored in the Cup earlier on the season, but in the league, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a long time since he's got on the score sheet, and he was very, very happy with it, clearly. But I think Palace definitely deserved the victory. I think Zaha in the second half was phenomenal. I think he was really dominating the game, and they found it very difficult to deal with him. And obviously he went and got the winner as well with a really nice finish. And Palace needed this victory. Because they haven't been getting the best of results beforehand. Eze getting on the score sheet again. I know they won their last home game, didn't they, against Leeds, so they're building on that. But they didn't want to drop too many more points. And Wolves without a manager, it's a good opportunity to get the win, and they did. They did it in good fashion. And I think the front four even, when Olise came on, really linking well. So
yeah, I think Palace have good players, you know what I mean? They've got good players. The manager seems to be doing a good job there. I think they've just not got over the line of recent weeks.
Too many draws. Yeah,
too many draws. But I think they'll be all right, Palace. I think they're a very good side.
If Zaha keeps up that form, for sure they will be, and Eze and Olise are starting to step up as well, and I think those two are really talented players. They got big futures ahead of them, I think.
Moving on to the next game, Bournemouth against Southampton, which is 1-0 to Southampton on the day, which brings a first loss to O'Neill as Bournemouth manager, and a really good result for Southampton here. Sim going for 1-1, I went for 2-1, and credit to Southampton for pulling through an away game, and gives more life into Hasenhüttl, really.
Yeah, definitely. He'd a bit of a reprieve for him, because there's constantly talk of him getting sacked. They needed this victory, and look, clearly going away at Bournemouth is no easy task, considering they're unbeaten in 6 games. So very good to go and get the win, but they needed this. And maybe when it comes to Bournemouth, now that unbeaten run has ended, will we see the results start to slip a bit? Well, it remains to be seen, because they've kind of just been getting results either by the odd goal or just nicking draws and stuff. They haven't exactly been blowing teams or anything. And now the first chink in the armour for Gary O'Neill, so we'll see how they respond to it. But Southampton, good result for them, but they need to build on it. It's not that this result won't be enough for Hasenhüttl if he doesn't get results the next few games.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think they're in danger of the drop, Southampton?
Yeah, I do because they seem to be no one minds at the moment playing Southampton. It seems to be like Hasenhüttl's kind of lost a bit of energy for the job.
Let's hope Arsenal mind this weekend. Let's hope Arsenal mind this weekend.
Yeah, exactly. I hope they get a result against Arsenal, but I can't see it personally. I think Carl Walker-Peters has picked up a bad injury. They're saying yesterday as well. He's a big player for Southampton, so I think right now, I think they should be safe, but for sure I wouldn't get too comfortable, especially with how his demeanour has to. He seems like at the moment like he's waiting to be sacked, and so I don't know. I think they've got to be very careful. They got some decent players, but their squad isn't like too good to go down. Yeah,
no, I agree with that. Let's move on to Brentford against Chelsea. West London derby finished 0-0 on the day at the Brentford Community Stadium. I went for 1-1, so I gain a point here. Sim went for 1-0 to Chelsea. Didn't see much of this game. We were on the way up to Manchester at the time, but big point for Brentford there.
Yeah, I'm looking at the highlights, and it seemed like Raya and Kepa both had very busy games. It wasn't like it was one-way traffic in either direction, and so Kepa keeping up his really good form with some really good saves. And Raya as well, making sure that Chelsea were kept at bay. So I think obviously Brentford are going to be happy with the point. It's the first time in the Premier League that Potter hasn't won a game, so he'll be disappointed. But to be fair, they got very lucky last week against Villa. Kepa was man of the match then, and it seems as though they got lucky to keep a clean sheet again this time. So a couple of away performances where Potter will probably be a bit disappointed with the level performance, but at the end of the day, 4 points the last 2 away games not horrendous, so they'll just build on it. But maybe he'll be slightly concerned by the fact how they've played the last 2 away games.
Yeah, I think so. And when your goalkeeper's getting man the match week in, week out, the last 2 weeks now, Kepa man the match, it's a slight worry for Chelsea, but he's a new manager to the job. He's still getting to grips with things, so I think they'll be all right as well. I think they've shown like signs of the Potter football coming through, just like a bit at the beginning of the Ten Hag reign at Man United. You saw like signs of it, and now you're really seeing it come to fruition, and I think it'll be a bit similar with Potter, albeit they should be a bit further down in that trajectory. Let's move on to Anfield. Liverpool against West Ham, which finished 1-0 to Liverpool on the night, and you know what? It shouldn't have been. I think West Ham did enough to get at least a point in this game. Both of us went for 2-1 to Liverpool. Alisson getting man the match, which tells you everything you need to know. I think West Ham played a really good game in this, and they'll be frustrated that they didn't take home more from Anfield in this game.
And obviously they missed a penalty, didn't they? Bowen missing a penalty, which obviously will be kicking themselves that they didn't come away with a point. I didn't see this game, but I saw the highlights. Nunes with a quality header. Starting to get grips of things at Liverpool and at Anfield, because I think he's a good striker, clearly good physicality. I think he's just got to work on a bit of technical ability with his first touch and some decision making. That moment in the City game when he didn't pass it to Salah, we had 3-on-1. Even I was a Liverpool fan, even I was getting angry at that. I was getting frustrated.
There were a couple of moments like that with Nunes in that game as well.
Yeah, so he's got to work on those things, but clearly he's a talented striker, and he's still young. People forget how young he is. 22, I think, isn't it? So
apparently he clocked up the fastest speed in Premier League history or something crazy like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, and he's a big, powerful lad. So once he gets to grips with how Klopp wants to play, I think he's going to be a good striker for them, in my opinion. But it's a very good win for Liverpool off the back of a victory against City. So they've really responded to the game. When did the game before Rangers when they lost badly? I can't remember which game it was.
Yeah.
But. It was Arsenal. They lost 3-2 to Arsenal, leaving them lagging behind. They then gone, beaten Rangers 7-1, beaten Man City 1-0, beaten West Ham 1-0. So they're going on a little run at the moment and maybe starting to build some momentum again, which won't be good for the other top teams in the Premier League. But they need it, Liverpool, because they were having a horrendous start. But it seems like they're getting, maybe not necessarily getting their act together, but they're starting to build some momentum again.
Yeah, I think they still wouldn't be happy with the performance in this game, because I really did think West Ham deserved a bit more, quite a lot more than they got in this game. So I think the jury's still out on Klopp and this Liverpool team. I want to see them go on a bit more run, a bit of a bigger run with a bit more convincing performances before I say they're turning it around just yet. But we'll see what happens. Results are definitely turning around the last week or so. Moving on to Newcastle, they beat Everton at 1-0 at St James's Park. Sim went 2-0, I went 2-1. And both of us getting a point there. Everton didn't have a shot on goal the whole game, and Newcastle thoroughly deserved the 3 points in this game.
Yeah, and what a goal by Miguel Almiron. Brilliant finish on his left peg, and that's his 5th goal of the season. Unbelievable. I got to give him massive credit because he was getting clowned on by Grealish at the end of last season. He's really turned up this season. He's getting goals like regularly. 5 goals or in the first 11 games of the season for Newcastle. Really, really impressive. Another solid win for them. I think that's 3 wins. That's unbeaten in 4, and I think that's 3 wins out of the last 4 games, drawing at Old Trafford. Another clean sheet as well. So really impressive from Newcastle. They're real after a long run of not winning. They're starting to really get positive results, and Eddie Howe is showing what a good manager he is. From Everton's point of view, though, 2 games in a row without a shot on target, and we've already seen. We'll talk about him in a minute. One manager gone. How in trouble is Lampard? 2 games in a row without a shot on target. That's not good.
I get that, but the 2 games are incredibly difficult games for Everton, away at Newcastle and away at Tottenham. I think
still 15th, man.
Yeah, I get that, but I think they've shown quite a bit this season, Everton. They've provided they are quite a hard team to beat. They've had hard fixtures of late, so I think he's got time to turn it around.
They got a point in the Merseyside derby, and they've had some decent draws, but have they really been that impressive?
Well, obviously not, because they're 15th in the league, but when you're comparing them to maybe last season, they've improved. They have improved. You can't say they haven't. And I think that as long as you're improving, I don't think they're going to go down this season, Everton. And I think that
a few more
Lampard
bad
has provided
results.
They've been a bit of a hard nut to crack. They haven't lost too many games
3
this
losses
season.
in a row. They've lost 5 out of 11.
Yeah.
It's quite a lot.
For an Everton side with the squad that they've got, where do you expect them to be?
Maybe a bit better than 15th.
Where, though? Like, you don't expect them to really be top half.
No, but, middle of the table.
Yeah, so, I mean, they're not that far off that.
Yeah, but they're also 1 point above the relegation zone.
Yeah. But, I don't think Lampard's
he's
under pressure just yet.
3 defeats in a row. If they lose to Palace, is that 4 defeats in a row?
If they lose to Palace, you can start asking a bit more questions. But right now, with the results they've had, they've lost to Newcastle and Tottenham away, which whoever's their manager, you expect them pretty much to lose those games.
Yeah, but to not have a shot on target.
Yeah.
Not a shot. Yeah, not a shot on target.
I know. It's not great.
I don't know. I think
that there are other managers in the league that are under more pressure than Frank Lampard right now.
For now. I think he's got to watch himself, Lampard. I honestly do. I think he's getting into quite poor territory.
But everyone, when the season was starting, everyone put Everton down for the drop this season. And I think that the start of their season that they impressed a few people. Yes, it hasn't been going for them of late, but it's going to happen with a team like Everton. They're going to go in waves of results. So I think he will turn it round at some point, Lampard. I really do.
Fair enough. I'm not 100% convinced yet.
Let's move on. Let's go to Old Trafford. 2-0 to Man United against Tottenham. Sim went for 1-1. I went for 1-0 to Spurs. And we got battered, so we'll just leave it at that.
Wasn't great. Moving on. Look, at least I thought Man United would be more. I don't know. Yeah, it wasn't great. It was terrible. It was terrible. We were shambles. 2-0 flattered us. Less said about this game, the better.
Yeah, let's move on. Fulham against Aston Villa, 3-0 to Fulham at Craven Cottage, which sealed Steven Gerrard's fate. Got sacked straight after the game. Yeah. I went 3-1 to Fulham. You went 2-1 to Aston Villa, and 3-1. It was a complete battering, to be honest. I think in the first half, Villa, showed signs that they maybe could get a goal, but ultimately Fulham thoroughly deserved this win, and 3-0 maybe even flattered Villa a little bit.
Yeah, Douglas Luiz getting sent off really killed the game for them, I think. Obviously, it was a 1-0 when he got sent off. It was a stupid red card. What is he doing? Off the ball, just headbutting, I think it was Mitrovic. A bit of, obviously, gamesmanship for Mitrovic as well, but you can't lean your head into a player, into someone's face in this modern day. So definitely a red card. And when you're losing when you're desperate for a result like Gerrard was, and you're getting absolutely battered by a promoted side 3-0, especially with the calibre of players Villa have. Whatever you want to say, Villa have good players. You know, they got good quality. They got players who there are some teams who are in the top half would love to have right now, and these are teams in the top half, and Villa have these players. They can't get a tune out of them. You know, players like Luca Dean, like Ollie Watkins, a good player, Coutinho, Danny Ings. These are good players. Leon Bailey was brilliant when he was in the Bundesliga. Like, these are Mings was playing in the Euros. He's starting in the Euros a couple of games last season. These are good players. So Gerrard has woefully underperformed, and at the end of the day, he's got to go. And they currently sit 17th in the table. 6 defeats out of 11. Haven't won in 4 games. They've only scored, with the attacking talent they have, they've only scored 7 goals this season in 11 games. You know, Danny Ings was banging them in before he was at Villa. You know, Ollie Watkins under Dean Smith was scoring lots of goals.
They should be finishing in the top half, Aston Villa, with the squad they got. Yeah,
they got a really good squad. Even midfield, John McGinn, good player. Douglas Luiz, a good player. So how they're in the position they are is unacceptable. Really completely unacceptable.
They spent a lot of money there, Aston Villa.
A lot of money.
And look, I think they were right to sack him, and it's been a few weeks in the coming, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. There's been a lot of talk about it. On the flip side, though, if you're a Villa fan, I think that with a new manager, I think there's a lot to work with there. You're not coming in. It's not like maybe if you're in a different situation with one of the other teams where the squad just will, like, for example, when like Norwich sacked like Farke last season, the new manager comes in but he's just got so little to work with, like it's not really going to improve. But if a new Villa manager coming in, they've got a good squad there, so if he can get the tactics right, I think they can go on. They'll be able to pick up some results and get some goals.
Completely agree. Like I said, I think they got a good squad there, so the new manager does have some good tools to work with. But in this game, 1 point goes to myself, 0 points goes to Sim, as we move on to the last game of the week, which was Leicester against Leeds, which finished 2-0 to Leicester on the day, which gives some more breathing room to Brendan Rodgers. Jesse Marsch, on the other hand, he's under pressure a little bit. I went 2-1 to Leeds, Sim went 1-1, so 0 points for each there. And I think Jesse Marsch is under more pressure than Frank Lampard. What would you say to that?
Potentially. I mean, I think Leeds are playing better than Everton, in my opinion, even though they're not getting as good results. So I think from that point of view, I actually think Leeds, in terms of their squad, they're a bit better than Everton. So the fact they're underperforming puts them under pressure. Look, they're 4 defeats in 5. Any manager in that kind of form is going to be under pressure 100%. So he's definitely got to be careful 100%. But I didn't see them yesterday. I didn't watch the game. I know, obviously, I watch Arsenal. They've played pretty good, and I've seen them a few times play good performances, not get results. But yesterday, it seems I didn't watch the game, but I was looking. I saw the stats at half time. All I saw was Leicester were 2-0 up and they only had 1 shot on target. Yeah. So from that point of view, you got to feel a bit sorry for Leeds, that they were maybe shouldn't have been 2-0 down at that stage. And I think Sinisterra, I was watching the highlights, Sinisterra hit the bar, they had a few chances, so they're a bit unlucky. I have more belief that Jesse Marsch can get better results than Lampard. That's the only reason I would say. That's why I believe he might outlast Lampard. But in terms of who's under more pressure right now, you might have a point, because Leeds are lower. They've got a better squad. They're in worse form.
Not much. There's only a point between them, to be honest.
Yeah, but they're still lower. And I know, obviously, one game changed it.
He does have a game in hand as well.
And he has a game in hand. But at the moment, look, they're both on 3 losses in a row. Leeds are 4 losses in 5. So they're both under extreme pressure. But I just believe the way I prefer the way Leeds are playing than Everton right now. I think it's going to breed more results, in my opinion.
I mean, like some of the results that Leeds have been getting, 2-0 away at Leicester, 1-0 against Arsenal, which is fair enough. I mean, they played really well that game. Losing to Palace, drawing to Aston Villa at home when they've been on that result. I mean, the Villa manager's just been sacked, and losing 5-2 away at Brentford, to concede 5 goals against Brentford as well. You're not going to be happy with that. And Everton, the last 3 games, they've played Man United, Spurs, and Newcastle, all very tough games. So, and the best of teams can drop points in these games. So look, we'll see what happens there. But let's move on to the star man. We both picked Trossard in a 0-0. That's 2 games in a row now. We've both picked star men in games that are 0-0.
Yeah, brilliant. So whoever we pick star man just makes Lampard on no goals because nothing is ever going to happen. But he hit the bar and he went close on a couple of occasions. So unfortunate, but at the end of the day, I think they actually, because usually they play him up front, and this game they're playing him at left wing back. So that was a bit unfortunate from that point of view. But nothing doing.
All right, well, it comes to an end of Premier League Perspective. We'll be back for another episode of Predict the Prem today as well. We finish off on 98 to 77. Sim following a bit further behind now. What's going on? 3 weeks in a row now, Sim.
Look, you've been party to how things can swing very quickly, so I wouldn't get too comfortable.
We'll speak to you all very soon. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.